Hello and welcome to Isolation Gigs podcast number 5 as we enter into the 6th week of isolation. The isolation gigs are still rolling and going from strength to strength with loads and loads of gigs every day of the week. And our YouTube channel is trying to build up at the moment with lots of interesting content. And today we're going to do a little chat about kind of alternative live streams, not just your typical like singer-songwriter or singer. We have some different acts today, which are going to talk us through kind of how they do live streams and how it's been going for them. So as ever, we have Chloe, the co-host. Hello, Chloe.
Hello.
Chloe is a singer, dancer, all-round entertainer. She's in Ellen the Cocktails and Someone Like You, the Adele show. We have Tom Carradine, the musical maestro and host of Carradine's Cockney Singalong, and we've seen him on isolation gigs a few times. Hey, Tom.
Hi.
And we have Alex Jones, who's a vintage singer, but also a children's storyteller. And Alex has been doing children's storytelling as part of her live streams, and she's going to talk about that today. Hey, Alex.
Hiya.
So firstly, thank you all for coming on our podcast. We've been doing these for a few weeks now and we're really enjoying doing them. They're all really good fun and we're trying to touch on different subjects every time. So today we wanted to kind of delve a little bit deeper into the different kinds of things people can do with live streams because obviously it's a difficult time for everyone, but everyone's being quite creative with what they're doing and they're taking their work that they normally do in big rooms or schools or restaurants and pubs into people's living rooms. So we're just going to see how that kind of works out. So first of all, how have you all been doing? So what have you been up to, Alex, in these kind of weird few weeks?
Yeah, I've been great. Thank you for asking, Elliot. So for me, I've been keeping myself as busy as possible with doing as many live streams as I can. And they've been working really well. It's nice to have some structure to your days. I think in the situation like lockdown, you can run the risk of just being in limbo and the day just goes away so quickly. You get nothing done, and that's just hippopotamus every day, and it just drives you crazy. So obviously, where I'd normally be out gigging, like in schools or events and kids parties, I'm just been doing entertainment from home through live streams for 3 times a week, 4 times a week. It's helped my sanity and it's also given me some structure to my day. So I've actually been all right in lockdown. I've been enjoying it. I haven't gone crazy yet. It's definitely the key is having a routine and having some structure to keep you sane. So yeah, I've been okay.
You're definitely one of the most active people online, I think, during this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think being a children's performer and an entertainer now is the time to be visible online because no one can leave their home. And all schools are closed unless you're a key worker. So there's parents at home going nuts because they're not sleeping. They might also be working from home themselves and they just need some help with keeping their children entertained, whether it's for an hour or half an hour show in the morning, there's some stories with Alex, then doing maths with so-and-so in the afternoon. Whatever it is, they definitely need entertainment like mine at the moment. So I have sort of taken advantage of that to some degree because I pretty much live every other day, Monday to Friday. But it's been good for me because it's given me a challenge as well with that demand. I've got to review stories, or I might have to learn a story, or I might have to prep my session to include game or a bit of singing. So it's also been a good challenge for me. It helps keep me entertained. And so, it's been working, so I'm going with it. But I'm doing it just whilst in lockdown. It's not something that I can kind of maintain ongoing, I think, because once you're into our normal life can take over. So I can't commit to doing 3 weeks and 4 weeks after lockdown. But whilst I'm in lockdown, why not?
Yeah, why not? And I like the spirit there, kind of keeping busy, keeping stuff happening during the day. I've definitely found that's been quite important for me as well. Just to stop myself going mad, really. And Chloe, what have you been up to in the last week since we last saw you?
What have I been up to? I had my Sunday sofa session to end the week last week. So that's my little virtual gig with my dad on the guitar. So that went really well. And then, to be honest, I've had a bit of a quieter week this week. In last week, I seemed to have projects coming out my ears to get done in a week, like self-tape and for my agent. And then I was doing some filming for the Pocket Bells and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been a little bit more chilled. But I say that, I'm like you, Alex. I think I keep saying to my sister, I'm like, okay, I could, there's so many things I could do at this time, but still I've made myself quite active in terms of working, even if it's not conventional work that we're necessarily getting much money for at the moment. But I think when you're creative, you just want to keep being creative or keep entertaining to some degree. So yeah, what have I done this week? Let's have a think. Just a little bit more. I've taken a few more dance classes online because last week was all about singing stuff, and this week I thought I've got a bit more time to do that. Taking a couple of friends' fitness classes, just trying to support people and what they're doing online as well. Actually had a little bit of time to watch some gigs that we've been posting to the Isolation Gigs page. So yeah, and just kind of taking my time doing my daily things, which is, I've said every week, that kind of tapping in with myself, doing my meditation and my journaling, taking some time to read and just fuel myself really with good feeling stuff. And the sun's been out, so that's been amazing as well. But it's been a nice week so far. I think you need a little bit of, we've talked about the ebb and flow of this whole period, haven't we, quite a lot on here, and I think every week and every day is different, so you just kind of got to roll with it, and I'm trying to do that as much as possible and not do too much when I don't feel like doing it, and then do more when I feel like I've got the energy. So that's been me really.
I think the weather this week's definitely helped lift.
It feels like it's summer.
It does. It's been really nice.
Totally.
So, and Tom, so when we were chatting beforehand briefly, you said that you actually were self-isolating before the period of lockdown, and you were also doing online gigs at that point as well.
Yes, my connection seems to be breaking up. You might have to repeat that for me. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was just saying you were already self-isolating before lockdown. So how's it been going since?
Yeah, it's been interesting, having kind of been in self-isolation for kind of a week before the lockdown happened, which meant that it kind of kick-started me into doing live streaming even before a lot of them were doing it. But yeah, it's going well. I'm kind of focusing on one live stream a week on what would be my regular Thursday in London at Mr. Fogg's Tavern, which I've been doing for the last 4 years. So it's been nice to kind of keep the continuity of that going. But aside from that, kind of living through lockdown, it's been very different to you guys in that I live with my wife and my 8-year-old son. My wife's she's a civil servant. She's working through from home. And I've been doing homeschooling.
Hey.
Wow.
So that's brought its own challenges. There's some good moments and some absolutely horrendous, terrible moments. But yeah, so that's kind of been filling my days. And actually, I've kind of been feeling a bit kind of under pressure in seeing what everybody else has been up to. And I've got friends who have kind of been furloughed from work, so they've got lots of time on their hands. And actually, I don't feel like I've got that kind of time. So I'm trying to cram it into the moments that I can. But yeah, still gigging on a Thursday and got kind of creative projects on the go. But yeah, tricky to kind of balance that with family life while we're kind of stuck at home, really. But enjoying it in the going from a pretty busy gig diary, kind of at least 5-6 days a week, through to absolutely nothing or 1 gig a week. It's nice to be at home. It's nice to spend some time with the family. So that's a real novelty. And yeah, be interested to see how obviously this all pans out with potentially the lockdown being lifted at some point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we hope. But then equally, as we will all be affected by the fact that it's going to take a fairly long time for people to kind of gain confidence to be back in those kind of public spaces, I suppose.
Yeah.
And wanting to come to a live gig.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Tom, can you tell us a little bit more about how the homeschooling's going?
It's I feel a lot of pressure. The school that my son goes to, there's a lot of work that they send home, and yeah, it's very weird. I've never wanted to be a teacher, and certainly not teaching my son. So it's kind of funny. It's trying to find the right balance. We bunked off the other day. Don't tell anyone. And we had a lovely day. We went to the park. We went on a bike ride. We did some DIY in the garden at home. So we made some things. So just don't tell anyone about that.
You just told everyone, Tom. You just told everyone.
No, it's great. And
do you know what though? I think. Sorry, Elliot. I was going to say. I think that a lot of those skills that your son will be learning when you say you're bunking off are actually things that he'll take forward. It's probably far more than some stuff he may learn, in the classroom at times, because there's things, you just wish you'd had time to learn from your parents when you were younger, and then life gets busy. So I think a lot of parents will probably be feeling like, oh, we should be doing this, but actually the time, or even just the creative things you're doing, it's all useful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all time spent together and new skills.
Yeah, and also
I hope so.
My elder sister is a teacher, so I hear a lot of her side of things. I think it's important to stress as well that parents aren't teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think teachers expect them to be teachers or learn to be teachers. I think teachers would rather your child came back to school a little bit behind, but loving the time they've had at home, then go back to school really apprehensive and worried about they haven't done their homework. Do you know what I mean? I think some parents have really got a really tough job at the minute. They've got to kind of find the balance between ticking the right boxes, but also, keeping their child happy. You know what I mean? And not overwhelming or upsetting or making the child feel apprehensive because they can't get the work done, or the parents can't help them with what they want, or the parents feel like they're achieving. Parents, unless you're a teacher, you're not teaching your parents. So you just got to do your best. That's it.
Yeah.
But I've got children. It's easy to say. And I just entertain and get the kids back. So, that's that's kind of my view. And from having a teacher in the family, my sister, I think, would feel the same. Like, don't put pressure on yourself. You have a day off. You have a day off.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a difference in the long run.
I think that's fair enough. Everyone deserves a day off, especially if you're not a teacher. You deserve that. So before we go on to any questions, I'm just going to say hello to the Cornish Cycling Adventures. I'd certainly love to be doing a Cornish cycling adventure right now. So hi everyone, Martin and Linda here from Redruth in Cornwall. So
hi Martin and Linda.
Hello Martin and Linda. So thank you. And if anyone has any questions for our panel today, please put them in the comments and we will try and answer them as we go through. So I'm going to pass to Chloe now. She's got some questions, I think.
Yes, I do. I don't think it's going to come down the bottom, though, my question, is it?
No, unfortunately.
Anyway, well, I wanted to start off today by basically asking both of you a little bit about your background into sort of how you came to do the acts that you're doing, because you can see by the way you're both dressed today, like, you both look amazing and really clearly, like, sort of shows what it is that you do. So yeah, let's go to Tom first, and if you could just give a bit of background about what you've done, how did it lead into the sort of Carradines Cockney Singalong, and just to give us a little bit of information about that, please.
It's a very, very long story. I'll try and cut it as short as possible for you. I was born and raised in Coventry. I moved to London to do a biochemistry degree.
Of course you did.
Of all things.
Wow.
Of course, as you do. So I'm a biochemist, but I graduated 15 years ago, and I've been in the business ever since. I started off playing as a keyboard player on MD, musical director, on London fringe shows and cabaret and comedy things. And through that, I ended up working as a musical director on tours of theatre shows. So I worked on Josie and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Cabaret, actually an ABBA tribute that Chloe and I worked on. Along back in the midst of time,
back in the day,
which was great fun. Back in the day. So yeah, that was my kind of theatre experience. And then about 10 years ago, I started playing on the vintage scene. I've always been a fan of vintage music, right from the Victorian Music Hall through the kind of teens and the 20s and the 30s. That's probably where my kind of specialism kind of ends, I suppose. But loved that, and started playing on the London cabaret scene and playing with Champagne Charlie and the Bubbly Boys, a vintage band, a 1920s band. And it was through that I got to play at the Twinwood Music Festival in Bedford on the August Bank Holiday weekend every year. And it was after hours, after one of the gigs there one night. And there's a battered old piano in the pub there. One of the it's a kind of listen hut bar thing. So and Dusty Limits, the cabaret host who I was accompanying, tipped me the wink and said, "Oh, go on, play some of the old tunes on the piano." So I started playing, and people started singing along, which was amazing. And we went back for a drink after the show the next night, and people were waiting for it, and they said, "Oh, are you going to do the sing along tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, why not then?" So we did, and we went back the following year. Again, it was all kind of unofficial. I was playing with other bands at the time. But yeah, people said, "Oh, we really loved the sing along last year. Would you do it again?" So that year, this is kind of about 5 years ago. Through that, I was inspired. I thought, okay, I've got something here. This kind of idea, and luckily, when I brought it back to London, I was lucky enough to get an evening playing in the bar at Wilton's Music Hall in the East End, which is the oldest grand surviving music hall in the world.
Amazing place.
And that's where we started. We every month for a few months, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And they moved us out of the bar and into the main hall there, which kind of seats 300 people.
Yeah.
And for the last 4 years, we've been selling out. It's been amazing. And I kind of now I play there kind of once a year, once every 6 months. And alongside that, I've developed obviously. I've got a mobile piano that I take around with me,
right,
that lives in the back of my van, and I can rock up anywhere with a real acoustic piano and sing. And basically, I enjoy it so much. It's sharing all the music that I love and creating a great atmosphere in a pub sing along or a family party. So yeah, that's kind of where I've got to and how I've got there.
Fab. Did you ever think, say, go back however many years ago, let's go back 10 years, that you'd be primarily, doing an act like that? Or is it a dream you had, do you think, somewhere deep down that you like?
Oh, no, I did. No, not at all. If you'd asked me 5 years ago whether I'd be doing what I'm doing, and obviously until the COVID crisis, I was earning all my money from being a full-time musician and with a really busy gig diary. If you'd said to me 5 years ago that I would be doing that all on my own and hosting my own shows and leading it, I would have said no. I wouldn't have believed it. But it's weird how what I've done has kind of developed over the time. For years, I was just an accompanist or a keyboard player or a conductor. So I was never in the spotlight, never on stage. And it's just kind of developed really. And as we all do, developing in our kind of skill set, that kind of ability to talk to the audience and chat and introduce the songs, which I would have never felt comfortable with 5-6 years ago, is now kind of second nature to me. So it's how you kind of develop, and the act develops. The act's developed over those years from Twinwood in the pub to I've got a more kind of polished or more kind of formal theatre show that I can do, and I've toured around theatres and kind of village hall, kind of rural touring circuit. but then contrasted with a gig or family party where I completely take quests. So the thing I love about the work that I do is the variety, and that I could be going from playing Wilson's to 300 people to playing a pub gig to 60 people to a family party to 20. It's I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
That's amazing. Like, end of the day, you're a born entertainer, and you've discovered that, and you know that now, and you're just relishing in it.
Yeah, and also it's about finding myself and in myself. As you can see from my attire, I dress in a vintage style I dress it in vintage or vintage style all the time, really. So the moustache as well goes with it. This is me. It's not an act or a character. This is just who I am. And yeah, it took me long enough to find it, but kind of 34 years to kind of find my style and find my groove. Or I suppose musically to find my niche. My niche, really.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey.
I haven't frozen.
I think that's.
Or have I frozen?
No, you're fine. I think.
Still there.
Have you? I don't know. I can't make it out.
Am I still here? I'm moving.
He moves like a robot. He doesn't. I was just going to say, I think that's a super important thing to identify, and I don't think everyone has to necessarily have a niche, but I think there's a lot to be said for a niche, because once you know it, you can really hone it, and you can really develop it, and you can really know who your audience is. I guess with Alex, you do a couple of different things, but obviously right now you're dressed in your storytelling act. Again, is that something you thought you would do or dreamt of doing when you were younger, or like how did you evolve into the two different things that you do right now as a performer?
So it was never ever in my sort of pipeline dream to be a children's storyteller at all. It was something that came completely by fluke, and just kind of I went with it in the end. So my background is musical theatre. So I trained at Bristol Performing Arts in Croydon, and did musical theatre, singing, dancing, acting. And as I got older, I discovered I had a bit of a voice to me, more so than probably dancing. So I went down the singing and the acting route primarily. So I had an agent, and I was just doing freelance tours, bit of West End, bit of sort of international work, touring, all sorts. Also did some theatre in schools, like TIE work as well. And I got a text from my friend years ago, it was probably going on way over 10 years ago, who at the time she worked in a bookshop. She was an illustrator, and she worked in a bookshop just one day a week while she was building up her illustration portfolio, straight down to be a professional illustrator. And her particular book that she worked for had a link with Nedworth House in her And Nedworth House contacted them and said, we're looking for a storyteller for our Halloween event. When storytellers onto your bookshop, have anyone that comes into your shop. And Crystal, my friend at the time, used to do Storytime Epiphany. And she was like, hold on a minute, I just read from the book. I'm not like an entertainer or anything. I don't think I'm going to be the right person for it. But I have a friend who is an actor and a performer, does do work with kids. She may know someone. Yeah. So she then passed the inquiry on to me. At the time, I was out of work. So I was like, yep, I'll do it. Don't know what storytelling is, but I need money.
But I'm an actress, so it's fine.
I'll do it. And I thought to myself, I can't just sit and read a book. I can't charge them to sit and read a book. So I thought, well, being an actor, I'll just get a load of books. I've got, as I said, my older sister's teacher. So I said, right, hey, what are the really popular books right now for Halloween that kids would love? She was like, right, Room on the Broom, blah, 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 blah. Gave me a massive list of different books. I got them out of my library. I learned them as a script. So I thought, right, I'll do all the voices, I'll do the characters, I'll buy some props, kept it cheap. I threw my backdrop together, literally. Obviously, this is a developed version. This was a real kind of basic version I did. And I basically gave them a proposal and said, look, this is my background, this is what I do, this is what I can do for you. And they said, yeah, sounds great, we're happy. And that was, from then on, I was their storyteller consecutively every Halloween for 4 years.
Oh.
And I was, at the time, focusing on other parts of my career, my singing and stuff, as I mentioned. But after every set I've had, performing at Halloween at Lego's house, I had all the parents coming up to me going, "Oh, do you have a business card? Oh, do you do school visits? Do you do kids parties?" And I was just like, "Oh no, what have I done? Like, I don't need to expand this. I'm just to the gig. I just need the money."
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'm not going to go with it. I'm just going to let it roll by itself, and I'll get inquiries off the back of gigs. I'm not going to promote it. I want to focus on my singing. And it always just snowballed naturally, just out of word of mouth. And now it's got to the point. 3 years ago, I decided to really push it because I'd got to a nice point in my singing career that I was happy with it and it was rolling well. I wanted to go. Like, now I can switch my focus to something a bit different and promote that. And now I simply do them 50/50 for my business. And I think what really I find it amazing that people that do so well in stories, and that sounds awful thing to say, but I just see myself as an actor. So I just think for me, the best way to bring a story to life is to bring it to life. So encompass it all, the characters, the voices, the physicality, the facial expressions. But people are like, wow, you like learn from part. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can't charge to sit and read a book. You can do that if you're at home. I can't charge you to read a book. So for me, it was just a natural thing. So I'm going to do one woman show, reenact these books, and just bring it to life. But people find that really fascinating, and I get a lot of people booking me off the back of the fact that they see it as something a bit different. They're like, "Oh, yeah, that's really good. You bring it to life fully, like immersive." And that's kind of where I've got to now. So it's a complete fluke. It was never my plan at all. But like Tom was saying, I sort of found my little niche, and I sort of kind of found what I am good at and what people love, and what kids enjoy, and just grown it over the years.
Yeah, I think that's such a lovely story. I think also you don't always you have this sort of idea in your head, okay, that's what I'm meant to do. And especially when you're younger and you know, like you and I, we danced since we were younger, and you think, right, that's what I'm going to do. But then life has a little different idea for you sometimes, and I think the more you can go with it and just let it evolve and not question it and not put too much pressure on, then these natural things just start to come out, don't they? And you surprise yourself. But actually, like Tom was saying, he's like, this is me, like dressed like this is you, and you finally found it, and you finally know a bit more who you are, and you're like, this is amazing, and now I can entertain people with it. And it's the same with you, Alex. Like, I'm not saying you're dressed like a princess every day, but but obviously you have such a great energy that it makes complete sense that you use that to entertain children, and in a sort of heightened version than a lot of other people would. So that's why you're doing well, and that's why it sets it apart, because you're going the extra mile, aren't you, with them?
Yeah, and I think it's that thing when you really find what you enjoy and what makes you tick, your audience pick up on that as well. I'm sure Tom gets it as well. Like when I've watched all of you perform actually, and when you watch someone that loves they do, you can't help but smile watching them, because you just get that energy. And I think with storytelling, I do have that for them. I genuinely love it, and kids just sit there going, oh, the whole time. And I love that. I'm like, oh, okay, they're enjoying it, and it just you feed each other. I think you need to love it. You need to kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I also think I know a lot of people right now that are during this period, this period where everything's been stripped back, that we normally have to maybe keep us busy, distract ourselves, whatever. I think a lot of people are tapping into new ideas and new ways of doing things, and sort of evolving either an act they already have, or they're going, actually, do you know what? There's other things that have been calling me, and I want to spend some time actually like looking at that and starting to give a little bit of focus to that and not be scared to. I know I'm doing little things like that I'm sort of surprising myself with. So I think it's this, as much as this period is challenging and it's like nothing else we've experienced, at the same time it's also sort of breathing new life into new ideas, which is exciting, because change always brings about, change will always bring about growth and good things, won't it? So the more we can focus on that, the better, I think.
Definitely, absolutely. And as you said, people are in a position where they're also happy to accept new things as well. People are looking as like as a consumer, mums and dads, women, old, young, boys and girls, they're looking for new things that they can do and tune into and make them enjoy. So it works both ways. Performers are feeling that in themselves, and people are waiting to see it, because they want to be entertained, and they want to be inspired, and they want to be, have their energies raised and their moods raised because everyone's feeling so lost and at the moment, do stuff like that. So I think it's a great time.
It is. Sorry, did you want to?
Yeah. Before I go on, we've just got a comment just come in as well. Cornish Cycling Adventures. Me and Linda went to Mr. Fogg's Tavern in September last year and went back again in February. It's a fantastic evening, and we've also been watching the Self-Isolation sing-along every week. So you've got some fans.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Cheers, Martin. I'll give you the $5 later.
Yeah. So that's kind of really, really nice. And we'll talk to you, Tom, for a minute. I'm a piano player as well, and I really enjoy watching your piano playing and how you do it. I think it's a really cool concept. So I just wanted to kind of get you to kind of explain to people how you do the live stream. So is it a request thing like you would do in a bar or a restaurant? Do you take requests over the comments, or do you already have the requests already set up?
A mixture of the two, really. I kind of try and structure my songbooks or my kind of, because people can download the sing-along lyrics from my website, so they can sing along at home. But equally within that, I will take requests through the comments or requests that people might have put on the Facebook or YouTube during the week. So, because if there's one thing I've kind of discovered from the live streaming, is the fact that the audience interaction is still as important as it would be in a pub gig. So, requests and shout outs, if I can involve the audience, then that works really well for me. But it's a kind of it's a balance between my kind of standard material, as it were, and taking requests. And thankfully, I've played a lot of tunes, and I've got a kind of memory for a lot of them. So yeah, if someone throws a request my way, I'll do it for them. Yeah,
brilliant. And is a lot of the stuff the kind of traditional kind of old pub songs that would have been played many, many years ago, I guess?
Absolutely. A real mix, though. I mean, kind of the art of the kind of sing-along pianist and sing-along pub piano has crossed all the generations. I mean, you go back to kind of Victorian music hall, all of those kind of Victorian music hall songs. But then you look at the kind of songs from the 20s and 30s. The pub pianists were playing all the American songs that came across, all the kind of early jazz and ragtime. And then you look into the kind of course, the wartime, both the First and Second World Wars, all those great sing-along songs that were kind of born out of both wars. And then from then on, I suppose, certainly in the 50s and 60s, there was a real kind of resurgence in sing-along, and through albums, people like Mrs. Mills and Russ Conway and people like Max Bygrave doing sing-along albums. And of course, they were reviving songs from the wartime. They were reviving songs from the 20s. They were reviving the music hall songs. So, and even now, we kind of have if I'm playing a kind of pub gig or taking a request gig, those requests can vary from like the oldest stuff I do, which is kind of 1850s maybe. Things like After the Ball or Daisy Bell, Daisy, 1892, through to Delilah, Sweet Caroline. The Proclaimers, 500 Miles is always a good one for a sing-along. So, or ABBA, the Beatles, a real kind of cross section of popular songs from all across the decades, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the thing that fascinates me with the material is the fact that we all have a different frame of reference for where we know those songs from. So I might be chatting to someone and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you sang that song. I haven't heard that song for years, since my mum or my nan used to sing it to me, or I learnt it at school." And there's a real kind of legacy for all those songs that are easily sing-alongable. Is that a word? Sing-alongable? Yeah. It is now.
You've coined it.
But it also makes me wonder that in years to come, when we're all old, what songs are we going to be singing? And I kind of think I'm going to be controversial now and put it out there, saying that I think there's a kind of cut-off in the 1970s. Things like the Beatles, ABBA, Queen will be the kind of sing-along songs of the future. There's nothing at the moment, for me anyway, personally, that I think is kind of timeless, that would last in the same way that things like "You Are My Sunshine" or "I Forever Blowing Bubbles" have. That they've been, people still know them over 100 years later.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? It does seem like there's less and less sing-along songs that are written now. I certainly can't put my hand on too many of them. And when I play live, it tends to be things like Oasis people sing along to, maybe a couple of other things, but there's not an awful lot of sing-along stuff around anymore, is there, really?
Yeah.
It's
I don't think so. I think people are missing a trick. And also because this makes me sound very old, but kind of pop music at the moment is all about a repetitive hook. And there's something definitely to be said about a hook and a catchiness of a tune, but it needs to be more substantial than that. It can't just be a hook. There's got to be something behind it. So I mean, perhaps the most popular song that people from all across the world know in a sing-along. Actually, there are a couple. Everybody in a crowded pub would know is "You Are My Sunshine," which is a 1940s song from America, or Bohemian Rhapsody. The most complicated song to sing, the most complicated song to play, but everybody, irrespective of where they come from in the world, knows Bohemian Rhapsody. What is it? What is it about the song? It's really tricky to sing. It's really tricky to play. Complicated lyrics, but I don't know. There's magic there. There's magic.
Definitely, yeah. I tried to learn that once and I gave up because every time I got to the middle section, it just blew my mind of what to do. I
just skipped the tricky bits.
Yeah. But,
when a crowded pub are all singing along after they've had a few drinks at the top of their voices, it doesn't matter what I play. No one's listening to what I play. It's about bizarrely that's quite a lot about my act. It's not actually about me and what I do. It's not my singing or my playing. It's about galvanizing a crowd together into joining their voices together to sing along. And which works interesting, of course, in a live situation, because people can lose their inhibitions and have a few to drink and kind of sing along, but makes it weird with the self-isolating sing along, which I do now, because of course I don't get an instantaneous response. I can't hear people singing along at the other end. So I just have to kind of rely on the fact that people are, and I have to say it's been great, the response I've had to that. I would have never thought that a sing along sung alone would be something that people would be interested in watching. But yeah, it has been. And through the Facebook Lives every Thursday, it's been lovely to see the comments, photographs of people, and also people singing along with me on their computer or their phone, but linking across to friends or family on, be it a Zoom call or be it on FaceTime. So despite the fact we're all so far apart, I do kind of get the feeling that I'm bringing people together, which is a lovely feeling to have. Yeah,
absolutely. I was fascinated by the sing along thing worked in this environment. I think it's brilliant, and I think, especially by the end of this, I think everyone's going to be ready for a massive sing-along. Just have a mass sing-along somewhere in the park or something. Which should be really cool.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to seeing that.
But it's
yeah,
indeed.
Elliot,
yes.
can we just double check for anybody that's if anyone's watching, could you let us know that you can definitely hear Tom, because I'm getting nothing of Tom, and I just hope that not all that was lost.
Yeah. If anyone wants to comment,
can you hear Tom, Alex?
Yep, I can hear Tom.
Yeah. I don't know when I lost you, Tom, but I can't hear anything you're saying, sadly.
Okay.
Oh no!
Sorry for this, guys. Sorry for any technical glitches.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, we probably can't fix it at the moment, but we'll try if we can.
I could possibly exit and come back in. It might be mine. I can hear
possibly try that. Possibly try that actually. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So Alex, again, it's another fascinating concept, which I again wondered how it would work with the storytelling aspect, because obviously children obviously are normally in the room. How do you kind of get their attention? How do you keep their attention and stuff like that in the isolated kind of arena?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one because a bit like Tom was saying, I interact with children a lot on my Facebook live streams, and even ask them questions to get a cool response. And you don't always know if they actually are joining in or not. You just hope that they are.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's that thing of using my sort of skills as a performer to keep engaging. So constantly make sure that my, backdrop is exciting and colourful, because children love things that are colourful. Making sure that my facial expressions are constantly changing and my voice is constantly changing. I'm tapping in with them constantly to get a response, and getting the guardians that are with them to comment on the comment box with an answer from their children. And they jump on, I say, who's with me today? Let me know what your name is, what this one's name is. And I give a shout out to, hi, William, hi, Elodie, hi, Tom. So, and then throughout the actual performance, I refer back to the children saying, Tom, Tommy, did you just see that? Or Tommy, you said that really loudly. It was amazing. Well done. And it's stuff like that will keep a child hooked into like, oh, she said my name. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have to be kind of crafty. You've got to use sort of skills as a performer, and also do everything with children to try and keep it as engaged as possible.
Yeah.
The big thing is attention span. That children can't, keep their attention for too long. So my lives are more than 20 minutes long max. When I do them, sometimes I'll go on to a second story if I feel like we've got time to do it. And I think, we'll do another one. Quite often I keep them to 15 to 20 minutes, and that with children is crucial, because anything more than 15, 20 minutes, when it's like storytelling, where they've got to have an element of sitting and listening, anything more than that is difficult when you're not with them. But I also try and throw games in. We'll do like musical statues, like themed musical statues as well, and sort of like Simon Says type games, and just really rely on the parents or the guardians to comment in the box, so I can talk to the children through the comment section. But also I encourage the parents to take pictures of their children, enjoy my sessions as we go through them. They kindly always send them to me and give me permission to share them, so I can then see their child with their iPad or with their telly engage with me. I think, oh great, they are enjoying it, they are doing this what they should be. We're all on the same page. So
yeah. And did you find it easy to kind of transfer from how you were doing it before to the online kind of environment, or was it challenging to start with, or did it seem to go quite well?
I found it okay, but I think that is because of my background as well, because I've also got a background in presenting. So I've done presenting of like TV channels and commercial presenting. So I kind of treat it like a CBB session. So it's, do you know what I mean? So I see it as, right, this is my CBBS channel, an element of call and response, but also a way of framing my performance and what I say in a way that doesn't always demand a response, but it's connected with the children. So so I haven't found it all that difficult. And to be honest with you, it's made me realise that I should have been doing lives for Storyteller before. I've never really done lives for my Storyteller blog. I've got videos of what I do in action, yes, on YouTube and things. But I've never really done a live of my children's entertainment stuff before. And it's made me realise that I should do more of it because it does actually work.
Yeah.
And it's ticking the boxes for this time. It's that thing as well of you don't want to give away or devalue your business too much by giving away too much freebies online. Do you know what I mean? So you need to play it, you need to kind of play it right. At the minute, I don't think you can do too much with the situation we're in. I was saying, whilst we're in lockdown, I'm doing it as regularly as I can. Because just like, you know, with yourselves as singer-songwriters, you know, you feed yourself with energy when you perform. Like it gives you energy, and so therefore it makes me feel good, not just the children, but I come off my live being like, wow, I'm fired for the day. I've just entertained 50 kids or 100 kids online. Woo, I'm feeling really great. So I'm doing it regularly because it's helping me as well as the children. But come, you know, the other side of lockdown, I won't be doing as much because I need to strategically think about doing it so it's good publicity, but not overdoing it and not sort of devaluing my business. So that's something I'm going to think about when we get to the minute. It's transferred actually quite well, I have to say. I kind of wish I'd started tapping into it a little bit sooner than now, but it's what it is. You learn, don't you?
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think pretty much every week, whoever we've had on, whatever it is their act that they do, or everyone's pretty much said that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really strange that, you know, this live setting's been out there for so long, and the it's just been such a big thing in our lives for so many years, and there's so much we haven't tapped into or made the most of. And I think it's just really interesting because I think everybody's feeling that, aren't they? And you know, obviously it's our only way to communicate at the moment, but you realize that, oh, actually there's a whole other branch of revenue that could be there, or just at least publicity, or, you know, just doing more. And you can tap into different audiences around the world as well, which, you know, you can't get people from another country to come across easily to like a festival that you do, or to come to a gig that you do, or a show in this country. So there's it's something we've talked about a lot.
On my last live, I actually felt really bad because it was Monday morning at 10:30, one of my storytelling sessions. So for me, that's the let's wake up for the day session. So I was giving it loads of energy and getting the kids, you know, joining and giving them stuff to do, actions to do, and words to shout out. And there was one child watching from Australia, and it was bedtime.
Oh.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I've hyped your kid up.
Like getting to sleep. I was just like, oh no. So but it's amazing that people, they can tap in from all over the world. So, you know, and they would never be able to see me or hire me for a party unless I was supposed to be with Australia. But you know what I mean? So it's amazing. It is amazing right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool, and it's very evident that you definitely enjoy it when you can see you doing it. It's brilliant.
Oh, good.
So we've just got a couple of comments just to check that Chloe's all right. You can hear everything. Tom is coming through fine apparently, and Alex is coming through fine. I hope that it's okay. I've had a couple of texts saying it's lagging a little bit, but I think it's probably just the internet and the depth of traffic that's going on at this time. I don't think there's much else we can do, but I'll pass over to you, Chloe. Hope you can hear everyone, and with any more questions that you've got.
I just wanted to see if Tom, could you just say hello?
Hey, yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
There we go.
I literally lost your whole spiel about your setup and everything you do, so I have to watch it back. I was sat
You
there
can catch up with it on YouTube later on.
Of course I will, as can everybody else out there. Spread the word, people.
That's okay.
Sorry, Elliot, did you cover all the questions you wanted to ask? Because obviously I didn't hear the answers that Tom gave.
Yeah. So I've had a good chat, and we've covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah. I just wanted to I'll come to you first actually, El, but I know we've talked about this lots of different things, but in this last week, have you, and I'll ask you guys as well, but is there anything you've really learned about yourself in this last sort of 5 weeks, 6 weeks, however long everyone's been doing it for, that that surprised yourself, or just anything new that's starting to come out in you that wouldn't necessarily have done if you hadn't been put into this situation. So Elle, in the last week or couple of weeks, is there anything you found that you've discovered about yourself?
So probably something that I knew was there, but it kind of like diminished through being so busy, and that is that I am able to pull together projects a lot quicker than I thought I was. I can't talk about a specific project, but we're working on a big project for charity at the moment, and it's the kind of thing that in the real world would be reasonably easy to do. In this kind of virtual world, it's a lot harder. But I think just through having a bit more time, it's been easier to actually work through piece by piece a plan. And I've found that when I'm busy and kind of overworking or overthinking about getting work in, I find it harder to get that clarity of planning. So what I'm going to do is take that forward and try and remember how we did things in this period, and then try and take that planning and that kind of clarity a little bit more. And also what I've learned is about people, that there are some brilliant people in all of our friends lists and Facebook friends lists and YouTube and Instagram things, and people are a lot more willing to help you than you probably think. So if you just ask someone something, you can always get some kind of answer.
There's the age old, you don't ask, you don't get. And I think, and not, from a lot of angles at the moment, they're not selfish things you're asking. They're actually, I want to do good, and I want to reach out to people that may feel the same, and also may want to get on board with things. And I think, but it comes down to you, like you say, having the clarity, maybe having the space to formulate the idea so you feel strong enough about it, and then having the sort of clarity and the confidence to reach out and ask, because that we're realizing, aren't we, week by week, the amount of amazing people that we know collectively, and I think it's really lovely because everybody's taken a little bit of time just to sort of think about those things and actually connect in a way that maybe you don't when you are all busy, just kind of doing the do and running around maybe more than you probably have to sometimes. And
I think it's about thought processes as well, like a lot of wasted time thinking about the same things over and over again and not maybe moving them forward. But without a lot of those things to worry about, because let's face it, none of us can really go out and do what we would normally do. Without a lot of those things to worry about, certain other things become a bit clearer. So in the post-lockdown period, whatever that looks like, it will be about, for me anyway, trying to work out a better way of thinking about all the things that I do, rather than going way into one thing, forgetting the other things, and then trying to catch up. So probably a bit more planning, I think.
And learning to cultivate a bit more sort of balance in yourself, so you can manage the things you want to do. I
think so. I've lost Alex on my.
I've lost Alex. Have you, Tom?
Yeah.
I can't see her either.
I'm just going to text her and see if she's still there. But yeah. So I think I have learned a few things this week, which has been really good.
Amazing. And how about you, Tom? Same question, really. Any surprises you found in yourself?
I've improved my DIY skills.
Nice.
And I've learned how to do Rubik's Cube.
No.
Really using my time.
Can you show us? Where is this Rubik's Cube?
Down to about 3 minutes now for solving it.
Where is this Rubik's Cube?
Oh, it's downstairs.
Really
Do you want to go grab it? But just the art of solving it. It's algorithms. It's just learning patterns. It's been great fun. I think kind of learning more about myself, really, I suppose, and learning how I tick, and what drives me, and what if you take the gigs away, how life is. So it's been a kind of eye-opening experience, I suppose. Also to get back to kind of full-time family life. I mean, as opposed to jiggling gigs and family life. So it's going to be interesting to see how the kind of new normal goes going forward. But it's been that's been great. I think in balancing family life and equally trying to, the thing I've struggled with over the last couple of weeks is the loss of my identity of who I am.
Sure.
Because a lot of that is bound in me working and gigging. So although I've had the outlets for my Thursday night sing-alongs, just the kind of mental busyness I have for work, I've been struggling with kind of motivation for it as well. But that, and of course, with having the kind of home learning kind of teacher role put upon me as well, and the way that kind of gets in the way of my my father-son relationship with my son. Yeah. So kind of finding my way around that has been interesting. But it'll be interesting to see how that kind of progresses and goes forward, I suppose. Learning new skills, technology skills with the streaming and the kind of improving my social media. I've used this as a time to kind of consolidate my administration, which I'm always battling with. Tax return, I'm halfway through.
Oh, smashing it.
But also just kind of gig diary and updating my kind of contracts and things like that. It's been, because I've never got any time for that normally. It's always kind of the last thing to do, or it's kind of a last minute thing, or I'm kind of struggling to juggle lots of things. Whereas actually having a bit more time in order to do that, and also I suppose improve my productivity. So thinking about the way I use my time. Actually, Elliot was saying about that kind of learning how you kind of work, and if you could be more productive with something.
Sure.
And focusing on things. I've been kind of trying to batch things, so dealing with emails together, or dealing with Facebook stuff together, or video editing and things like that in little chunks of time, because those are hopefully skills that I can apply when, fingers crossed, this all kind of blows over and the diary gets busy again.
Yeah, I think so many points you made there. I think there'll be so many people out there that can relate to all of them, because I know I felt a lot of what you've just said. And I think also when you read about anybody that's sort of cracked the success code, they do batch things into different categories, and they do really schedule their days. And I think, we're learning in this time to create some sort of schedule for ourselves more than we've had to do before, because we can sorry, I'm busy, I'm going off to do a gig, so that bit of time that maybe I'd have had, I won't use it. Whereas we have to create a schedule to stay sane and to stay productive and to stay active, and it's like therefore you're then learning those skills that you maybe wouldn't have done so quickly. And so there are positives to take out of this situation, but you seem to be doing really well, so it's great.
Yeah,
we're also used to
carry on.
Keeping it together is keeping it together. I wouldn't say I'm doing well, but
yeah, but that's what we're all doing right now, right? It's,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just saying keeping it together.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm doing it well, but that's all we're doing.
Have we got a delay?
I think there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a delay on there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. As long as we know. Sorry to anyone out there. We're doing our best here technologically. And Alex, you're back. Yay!
Yeah, sorry, my internet is just dropping a little bit, but
we've got no sound for Alex.
Yeah.
Got no sound. Oh no.
Have you guys got sound for Alex?
We've got sound. Yeah.
Okay, Elliot, you take over.
Yeah, I can hear Alex.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
So Alex, I don't know what you caught of the question, but it was basically, have you learned anything about yourself during the last period?
Yeah, I think the only thing that or at least what's been highlighted to me, is actually how resilient I can be in times of sort of disaster. I've never really in my business life had a real disaster. This is the first time I've experienced like a recession, pretty much, and been a business owner. And I was surprised with how resilient I was. Yeah, I had a couple of days of just like, oh my gosh, no good.
Yeah. Now I think we've
lost her.
We've lost Alex now again.
Oh, this is tricky this week, isn't it?
Yeah, this is we're having a few more problems than we even had last week. I think this week.
I wonder if it's that you know, the height of now people doing a lot more online, just week by week is growing. That it's
I found with Facebook uploading, because I live stream to Facebook.
Yeah.
When you finish your Facebook live stream and you click to share it afterwards to save it to your page, it initially in the first few weeks it was fairly quick for it to upload, but certainly last week I had to wait about an hour and a half until the video had gone onto my Facebook page. So it's definitely about bandwidth, or about just the volume of and the amount of people streaming live, I think.
Yeah.
It has to be. Well, I just want to say thanks to anyone that's still with us, because it's a bumpy road this week. Hopefully Alex will be back shortly.
Yeah, I hope so. I guess what we can do now is just kind of go around and do our normal kind of thing. If you can kind of give one or two kind of like pointers for anyone that wants to do a live stream gig, or is thinking about getting started, any tiny little tips or bits of good thinking that you have for that. Tom, have you got a couple?
I think it's about things I've learned about live streaming over the last few weeks is about the interaction. In the way that I would on a pub gig, I would be interacting with the crowd and as not only singing and playing, but I'd be shouting out. I would be asking people where they come from, or I mean, so actually in some respects the live stream is just an extension of what I would do normally, but it's because we're connecting people directly in their own homes. It's about having that connection, and I think there needs to be. It depends on the performer, I suppose, but there has to be a balance between what you do as an act, but also incorporating. So rather than just coming on camera and doing your act and not having any interaction, or equally on the other end of that, not doing the thing where if you're live streaming, you're basically just head to the phone reading the comments. So I think it's about finding a nice balance. But I think personally, what I've gleaned from the live streaming is about building that interaction with people. And actually, one of the nice things with the sing along is the fact that, and actually I think the live streaming will become a regular part of my gig diary, because I'm able to connect with people that, especially because people who might have come to Martin in Cornwall, who's been messaging on here. Martin came to see me a while back at Fog's Tavern, and had seen me a while before then, but probably doesn't get up to London once every 6 months or a year. But the live streaming allows you to connect with people that I mean, I might have someone might have seen me at Fog's Tavern or Wilton's Music Hall, but they live in the States. And I've had loads of lovely comments about people who've seen me live, but now can interact with me and can kind of see my act again live and enjoy something of that. So that's been a great kind of thing for me to take away from this, the fact that actually it's contemplating however this situational pans out, how the kind of live streaming interaction will become part of my kind of regular gig diary, I suppose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Chloe, what have you kind of learned about live streaming, and any tips for anyone that wants to get into the mad world of live streaming?
Yeah, sure. I just want to second a lot of what Tom said. I think firstly, because I completely agree with the interaction and the really communicating with the people that are out there, you know, engaging with you, because it really says something that someone wants to sit with you for however long your set is. Mine usually ends up being about 50 minutes to an hour. And a lot of people are coming back week to week. And I think that's because, you know, you make sure you engage when you're actually live, but also replying to the comments afterwards if you haven't been able to, and, you know, keeping that sort of communication going is key. And I'm loving the same thing you said about connecting with people in different countries, or even just different parts of this country. I've met a lot of people in the different jobs I've done, for example, cruise ships, you know, traveling to different countries and working with different people from different countries. They've seen maybe photos and videos over the last few years, but to actually be able to sit down and be with me live while I'm singing is something that they haven't had, not saying like I'm amazing, they haven't had enough of. No, that they, you know, it's a treat for them, because they used to see me sing on stage sort of every other night on a cruise ship, and that's, you know, it's nice to be able to share that with them now in a much more low-key setting, be it from my sofa. But what other things have I learned? Just to be honest, we discussed it a few weeks back, but I know there's a lot of people in my life that are performers and maybe haven't started doing that much live streaming yet, and maybe that's because they're finding this period harder than maybe I am in certain ways. Everyone's got a different perspective and a different life experience at the moment, but or maybe it's just a confidence thing. And I think if there's anybody that wants to do it and just feels like pressing that live button is just a bit too daunting and just feels a bit too weird and alien, then I would just say make sure you reach out to people that have done it, and I'm more than happy to talk anyone through it, or just make sure that I'm online when they're doing it, so that I can put some comments in, because I know that when you know there's people weekly that are there and they, you know, they interact with you, it really gives you a boost when you're in your little stage setting, whatever that is, to keep going and to keep your adrenaline high and to keep your energy up, to give whoever's out there a good set. So I think, yeah, it's if you're feeling a lack of confidence, then reach out to people that are willing to give you help, because it's so much less daunting than you maybe think it is. But, you know, pressing that button does come with having a certain level of confidence to do it. So you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if there's anything else I can really think of.
Actually, I've got one more tip.
Go for it. Yeah.
Is about conversion from Facebook. I do my live streams in Facebook.
Yeah.
And I share that afterwards to YouTube as well, which interestingly I found has got a very different viewership. So I'm connecting with a different, predominantly a different group of people on YouTube to the ones on Facebook. But yes, depends whether you like Facebook or not. Yes, I'm not gonna say where I sit on that, but one of the great things that with my sing along is the fact that because I have sing along lyrics for people to download, immediately in a pinned post at the top of my thing, or a description of the feed, is I'm directing people to my website to download the lyrics. So immediately through that, I'm taking people also off Facebook who are being directed to my website to download the lyrics. There's also immediately underneath that, there's a little link to donate to my tip jar.
Yeah.
And also there's a click to sign up for my mailing list. So if people want to build that kind of interaction with people who really want to be, who really are interested in what they do, as we all are as performers, we want to connect with those kind of fans or an audience who really like what we do. I just think it's that's one thing that I've kind of found out over the last few weeks, is actually building a kind of stream to get people through to my webpage, and also to kind of inform them. They might only see the stream, but to kind of know what other things I do and where I perform, and when things blow over, where they can perhaps come and see me live, sign up to the mailing list, or even buy a CD. That's all on website. So kind of getting people through to my website has been a great thing.
Yeah, that's really that's so useful. That's such a great thing to say, actually, because this is the time, isn't it, to really find who your audience is and connect with them and make sure that they're seeing what you're doing, because there is so much that gets lost, and it's not a case usually of, oh, people aren't bothered. It's a case of they're not necessarily seeing what it is that you are doing, and therefore they haven't got the chance to connect with it. Whereas if you're utilizing all the ways at the moment to direct people certain places, then you'll build up that sort of genuine fan base that you want, and everyone will win, won't they?
Yep.
Alex.
Hi.
Back again.
Hey, Alex, you're back.
Oh, I can't hear it again.
Right. So we're gonna wrap up shortly, unfortunately. Because we are having some sound issues.
Yeah.
But Alex, we're just going around and just giving a couple of tips for people that maybe thinking about doing a live stream, if they maybe do something that is a little bit different, that isn't just just singing and stuff. Have you got any little tips for people that are kind of thinking about doing it?
Yeah, I would say it's always good to do a trial of a live performance. So before I did my first Storyteller live, I did a Zoom just to show my family and my niece and nephew, just to trial out to see if it would kind of work and how it came across and that kind of stuff. So sometimes a trial just behind the scenes is quite good, just to gauge what parts of your performance you thought would work, perhaps didn't come across as you thought, and some you might have other ideas that come up and think, oh wow, okay, we'll do that. So maybe first time do a trial, kind of backstage on another software like a Zoom initially.
Yeah, that's good.
Plan what you're going to do. I think it's good to have an element of kind of organicness to it, but I think it's good to have a structure. Otherwise, people get bored quickly because you're just waffling or filling time or whatever. So have a rough plan of what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then once you've done those things, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Don't think about it. Do it. Because you know it's going to work. You trialed it and you found what you're going to do. You know what you're going to do. So then just do it. Because you got yourself out of doing live, because they can be daunting. But if you trialed it, there's no reason why it won't work. So do it.
Why not? And I believe that it's a time for experimentation at the moment with all these kind of things. So it's the time to try things. So all I'm going to say is that hopefully we have given an insight and proved that if you do something in the real world, it can be put into the virtual world actually fairly easily and very successfully. So if you're thinking about doing a live stream with whatever you do in the real world, why not? Give it a go, see if it works. And there's loads of people out there that are willing to give you help. And I think it's the time to do that. So
there's nothing to lose right now, is there?
Nothing to lose. So
nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we kind of lose ourselves in the sound of live stream gigs and podcasts, just want to say a shout out to my friend Dave up in Sheringham. He's been texting in. He's been helping me out, saying whether people are being heard and whether people have disappeared and whether they come back. So thanks for your help, Dave. In what has been quite a challenging kind of stream, but also massive thanks to you guys for coming on, and hopefully we'll have you back again sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Brilliant. And we will see you next week on Thursday.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Bye.